Stoic have laid out their future plans for us, and things look very interesting. They have announced a new Stoic Token, as well as 3 new products they'll be offering in the near future. They have a page on their website which has a really detailed description of all this, and I'm going to leave this in the description, but today we're going to go through it step by step. As I said, they're launching a new token called the Stoic. How on earth did they come up with that name? Beats me. This is a community token for Stoic. Next, it says that they will distribute this to paying customers retroactively and in the future. So good to know they're still rewarding those of us that have been here for a while. It seems this will work as some sort of internal Stoic currency which you can use to pay off your annual fees or to win allocation in sophisticated strategies with limited capacity. Something not available yet but coming in the future, and we're going to talk a bit more about that later on. Next, they talk about the future and their vision for Stoic. If you're interested, I would definitely recommend reading this yourself, but I'm just going to summarize it for you quickly. They claim this token will help them become a next generation trading service and enable them to compete with centralized and decentralized exchanges. But the main thing is they're pushing the idea of funds within a fund. So within Stoic there will be multiple funds that you can switch to depending on the current market conditions. They give the example of using the Stoic portfolio, the one I'm currently using, to use this when you anticipate that the market is going to go up. Alternatively, if you think the market's at its peak, you can use a fixed income strategy. They also mention options of long/short strategies, as well as funds in the DeFi and NFT space, but there's not too many details about them. I think this is a pretty cool concept. However, I do think it slightly changes the type of person that Stoic is being marketed to. Currently, I would say that Stoic is ideal for somebody who wants to invest in crypto. They know they like the idea of crypto, but they don't really want to have to do all the research, and they're really looking for a passive way into cryptocurrency trading. So quite a passive investor like myself. I like that I can just let Stoic do its thing and I can forget about it. If you watched my last video, you know that I did just that. These changes sounds like they're making it a more active process. They talk about how you can decide when you think the market's going up or if it's at its peak, and you need to change your strategies depending on the state of the market. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, this could attract a lot of people. But it's very different to the passive strategy that I was talking about earlier. Saying that, I do anticipate there will be some kind of automation like there is currently. For example, the Stoic dynamic hedging, where they just use Stoic's algorithm to decide for you. So I assume that there will be some version of that on this new platform where there are multiple strategies. But even then, it's just something I noticed that is becoming more of an active process, which may appeal to some people, but maybe less so others. Something else quite interesting they mentioned is the long and short strategy. We've known about this for a while, and we're still waiting on it coming, and I'm really quite excited to see how that performs, as the real issue with Stoic is so dependent on crypto, and if crypto goes down, then there's no way it makes money. However, when you introduce shorting, that really changes the game, so I'm really curious to see how this one will perform. Now, underneath this section, they do have a disclaimer saying that we reserve the right to change this at any point at any time. That makes sense to me, but it does say it's in the final stage of development, so we might see some of these changes relatively soon. We'll go over more of that when we go through the timeline at the end of the video. Now, the Tokenomics section for their new token. Now, important disclaimer here, I'm not going to pretend I know everything about tokenomics because I don't. In fact, I really don't know that much. So I'm simply just going to regurgitate what is said on the article here for you, so you can draw your own conclusions about whether you think what they're doing is good or not so good. So we will start with a good old pie chart to tell us what the distribution of it is like. So 50% will go to users and referrals, 22% to community treasury, 20% to company and advisors, and you can read the rest yourself, all the small little bits. Now let's have a closer look. It's described as an ERC20 utility token with the aim of supporting interactions between the Stoic community and the Stoic trading bot. The total supply is 4 billion Stoics. Again, loving the creative name. The initial price for these Stoics is $1.20 per Stoic. Now, the 50% allocation to users and referrals is to be mined over the next few years until this allocation limit is reached, which is 2 billion Stoics. The initial reward ratio is 0.6 Stoics per $1 in fees. Let's say you deposit $2,000. That works out as $100 of fees due to the 5% management fee. So with $100, that means you would receive 60 Stoics for paying your $100 fee. After half of the supply has been mined, the supply ratio is halved, and this is continued until it's been halved 10 times. This is very similar to the halvings we see in Bitcoin. You can pause the video here if you want to see more about allocations to different areas. Something to note here is that it says there is a 1-year cliff for Stoics received from paying fees and referrals. Now, in my interpretation, this means you have to wait a year after you receive it in order to actually use it. I could be wrong, but that's just my interpretation. Now, as mentioned earlier, they will be issuing Stoics retroactively. So if you did join Stoic earlier, there will be some kind of reward in store for you. So this table here shows the early bird coefficients. I started Stoic in April 2021. So I would have an early bird coefficient of 1.3. So if we use the example from earlier, $2,000 deposit, $100 in fees, $100 times 0.6 reward ratio, 60 Stoics, and then multiply that by 1.3. That gets you 78. So if I were to pay $100 in fees, I would receive 78 Stoics. The details of how you can earn Stoics through referrals is on this paragraph here, but it's pretty self-explanatory, so if you want to read it, just pause it and go from there. Essentially, refer your friends and get paid in Stoics. The biggest thing I'm seeing here is that you actually have to deposit a minimum of $2,000 in order to qualify to earn any Stoics. So currently, the minimum you can deposit into Stoic to have Stoic trade for you is $1,000, which equates to $50 in fees. But in order to earn any Stoics, you have to pay $100 in fees, which is a $2,000 deposit. I have only deposited $1,000, so in my interpretation, this means I will not be receiving any Stoics. However, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm pretty certain that I won't be depositing any more money into Stoic. So does this just mean I don't receive any? I'm not entirely sure, but we will have to see how that plays out. This next section is the most exciting and gives us a rundown of what new features we might expect to see in Stoic in the coming days. Not days, months. It also appears that one of the main functions of the Stoic token will be to unlock these new features. So you will have to use Stoics you've earned from paying fees or referring friends to actually be able to use these new features. The first one here is the long-short strategy. I mentioned this earlier and it's something I'm really looking forward to seeing how it works and to see how it performs. Secondly is the fixed income strategy. This is meant to carry less risk, get you a stable income. So I'm interested to see how this plays out, as this could be a good addition during times of market volatility. Thirdly are thematic portfolios. So this is looking at specific sections within the crypto space, like DeFi, NFTs, other things like that. The idea they're presenting here is that you don't have to waste your time researching, just put it into a Stoic NFT fund and you can reap all the rewards from the NFT space without the risk and time of having to do your own research. Number 4 and 5 on this list are things I don't really care about. I don't change my hedging strategy that much, so they're not very exciting to me, so we're just gonna skip them. Now finally, at the end of this article, we have a rough timeline of when we can expect all these new features. So let's go through that now. Firstly, it says the reward counter is live, so that makes it sound like you can start earning Stoics right away. However, I had a quick look and I couldn't see how, so I think you might actually have to have made a deposit after their announcement of the new token in order to have earned anything. But I'm not entirely sure on this one. Next, product finalization. So they're working on finishing out the legal things to do with launching a new token and getting that done in the coming months after this announcement, which was last month, I believe. In Q1 of 2022, they're enabling people who own CND tokens to start staking Stoic tokens. Now, this doesn't apply to me or probably any of you, as these CND tokens or Syndicator Capital tokens are from alternative products that Syndicator Capital offer. I don't know a whole lot about this, to be honest, so we're just gonna skip it. The ability to spend Stoic tokens and unlock new strategies should be coming in the first half of 2022. I'd probably anticipate that we'll see it in the early summer, if everything is on schedule, that is. And by the end of 2022, you should be able to claim any Stoic tokens you own from any deposits you've made after the announcement of this new token. Finally, they state they eventually plan to list Stoic on decentralized exchanges like Uniswap, so you should be able to buy and sell this token there. Now that was a lot of info, but that's what Stoic's plans are for the coming year. Now, if you want to see how the actual Stoic bot has performed over the past 9 months, then I suggest you check out this video here. Enjoy!